Good, good, good. Well, guys, welcome back to my studio. It's been a while, yeah? Yeah, I know. It's been a long time since the last streaming from the studio, so I thought it was the time now to come back and show you what's happening here. I don't even remember how to switch the cameras. Oh, yeah, there we go. So today I have a very quick one because I'm a little bit on rush, and so I had to finish this track on a plane on the way to Argentina this weekend. So I'm just finalizing the track right now, and then I'm gonna show you how this one was born and what I'm using, and all the technical things, as many as you want. But before I talk to you about this track and tell you also about the story of this one, let me just play and then I will explain what's the plan for this. So it is on live. It comes, of course, from the Live 2.0 concept. So just like Evolver, it's a track that was born live and then becomes now a full studio production, and then it gets released. So because it's gonna be the last release of my 2019, this still has the same concept that I use for the Evolver album. So if you've been watching my live streamings from Evolver, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, let me play the track first. So I'm gonna use this, which is the same MIDI controller I use during my live shows, and then I will also explain to you how this works and how we go from this place, this little toy, into my studio thing, and how I made the track, because the track is actually finished, but I want to show you how I made it. So let me switch to this camera. I'm not sure if you can actually see it well. Let me see it. But yeah, I mean, if you've been watching my ASOT gas mix for ADE, you already saw this. So let me just play quickly the track, and then I will tell you a little bit more about this. All right. So this is basically how the track was sounding, during my live shows. Well, not really like this because this is just one piece of the gear that I'm using for the live shows. So you're missing, the keyboard. You're missing the other MIDI controllers where I launch the drum rolls, crash, effects. So this is just purely a sequence of different loops. So before we get into this, let me show you the story behind it, because as I said before, just like all the other Evolver tracks, this one was born somewhere, in around the world during during a sound check in Moscow. I can show you here. So basically, I was doing this sound check in Moscow the day before Transmission Prague. Was testing my gear as usual, and then I came out with this melody, and I asked, the promoter who was there to please film a little bit, and then I posted a line to see what you guys think. This is the original clip. I think you remember this. And so, I've been reading all your comments and everything was super positive. Again, it's a super easy melody, but I think it's beautiful when it's combined together with all the other sounds. But again, this is the concept, I've been using for Evolver. So I think it's great to close this 2019 year with one last tune created in this way. So anyway, after this clip, reading the comments, everything was positive. You guys really liked it, and then I decided, because I've been invited to perform a guest mix at the Asset of Trance studio for ADE, for the Amsterdam Dance Event special, and so I made this track a little bit more complete, like a better shape of this one. And then I performed this track at the ASAT studio, as you can see here. I'm just gonna show you the drop because, if you've been watching this, you already know the track, of course. It's the same, but it sounds a little bit better. So, again, I've been reading your comments. Everybody's happy, everybody loves it. And just after this performance, I decide I want to release this track as soon as possible. And so it's on its way already. And the track is, it's all, well, basically it's almost finished because I've been working on this quite some time. But, because before you ask, because I was in a rush, I don't really have the time to use my gear, so whatever you see here in the studio is shut down. It's not working. It's off, and all the gear is off. Basically because I don't have time to work with this, and so this is a totally digital production. Everything it's been made in the box, and the thing is that. Because I remember when I released Evolver, the album, you guys used to listen to my guest mix at the ASOT back in February, I think, where I played the full album live. Okay, so you've been falling in love with the live versions of each track, and then some track, of course, when brought the track back in the studio, I had made some changes and something. Someone says, "Oh, it doesn't really sound like the one you play in the ASAT studio because, of course, it's a final production. It sounds a little bit different. I came up with some other sounds, and of course, I did my way. But I do understand that you like, the way the track, the way it was made for the first time. So for this one, I wanted to keep it exactly the same as the version I've been performing at the ASAT studio. So what I've done, it was just listening to my performance and then make the arrangement of this track exactly the same. And what is really interesting here is that I've been using exactly the same sounds from that performance, which are the sounds that I use for my Live 2.0. Also, yeah, before you ask, title. I have a title. It's another silly one, of course. Well, it's been made in Moscow, so the first thing was like, okay, I'm gonna call this one Moscow, but it was too simple, so I just call it Moscow River because this one has been made in Moscow, and also because every time I play in Moscow, I get this beautiful hotel on the Moscow River where you have this beautiful picture, especially on the sundown. It's just beautiful place. So I think it perfectly matches the melody and the atmosphere that this track brings in. So yeah, Moscow River. That's gonna be the title. And hi to all my Russian friends, by the way. So okay, let me show you more now. As you can see here, I have my Ableton project, and this is the project that I always use for my Live 2.0 performances. If you scroll up, you see all the other Evolver tracks like, Soundbar, Ciudad de Mexico, Empty World, Another Day in LA, Belasco, Raven, Transland, 8K, and so on. This one, yeah, of course, I didn't really have a title. I just came up with a title. But this is the one I've been performing before for you. Yes. So let me show you how this one it's been made. First of all, in Ableton. So when I play, I always use. Yeah, that's the right camera. So I always use 8, 9, or 10 channels. But normally on channel 1, it's always my kick drum. I can choose different kick drums, different samples, like if you can see here. Because I'm using the drum rack from Ableton, so you can use different sample, but channel 1, it's always my kick drum. Channel 2, these are the rest of the drums. Again, I use different loops so I can pick up the loop that I like the best, and in this case I'm using this one. Okay, on channel 3 it's always a cymbal, a ride. On channel 4 it's always my main bass line, and I'm using silent for this one. I mean, not for this one, I use silent for this channel. And for this song, I use a, preset number 13, but I have different, I have a bunch of different presets that I can use. And all the presets I've been made in the studio already. So, whatever I choose, it sounds good. Because remember that whatever looks easy in the studio, it's bloody complicated on stage with the pressure of the crowd and the noise and the music and everything. So it has to be a simple thing. So whenever I select a sound, I can't really waste my time of adjusting the level, for example. It has to be perfect. So you just select a sound and you play it. This is the main thing about the Live 2.0 concept. Anyway, back to this. Yeah, this is just a bass line. Yeah, and then on channel 4, no, actually 5, it's always kind of a mid-range bass line again that supports the main bass line. and it's still silent. Alright, if we move on, we go to channel 6, and on channel 6 I always have my main lead. And the main lead, it comes from Spire. Here we go. Right, then we move to channel 7. On channel 7, I usually have another lead or some arpeggio that supports the main lead. In this case is what I call the JP arpeggio. I mean that's the JP, but of course this one comes from Spire again, and it sounds like this. And when you combine the two things together, it's gonna sound like this. Right, so we move on to channel 8. And on channel 8 I always have my pad strings, and those come from silence again. And then I have I have a piano on channel 9, but I'm not using the piano in this case. I mean in this one. Let me quit Google Chrome because I'm gonna get too many messages today. Oh, by the way, yes, it's my birthday. Happy birthday! Thank you. And I know you're asking, why am I spending my birthday in the studio? Well, I'm not spending the whole day. I just spending a couple of hours, and because I have to deliver this one, it makes sense to do the live streaming anyway. I mean I had a day off yesterday. I'm gonna take a day off tomorrow, so easy, but thanks. Right, so yeah, this is basically how my life thing is structured. Everything has to be simple. Everything has to be quickly accessible, and the reason why all my melodies, especially on the Evolver album as well as this one, are very simple, it's because let me put this one here. It's because I have to write the melody on this. I had to write the melody on this little keyboard. It's a 25 keys, mini keys keyboard, and this is what I use in my shows as well. So as you can understand, you can't go crazy on the octave. You gotta be there, and then you just play with one hand. You can't play with two hands because you don't have enough octave. So every melody I come up, with during my live shows is a very simple one, and this is probably why it works so well, because it's a simple one, it's catchy, and you guys love it. So this is probably the secret. Anyway, same thing applies to the pads and to the bass line and everything. Everything's been written with this one, and again, it's a very simple stuff. Then I loop it, when I record into Ableton, I loop it, and then I create the track by triggering all the different loops and then you build up the track. And also, if you haven't seen it before, on top of this, on top of this, I have my filters, so I can apply a filters to the lead. And in this way, I kind of create the track, and the track is just just the way you feel at the moment. That's why I say whenever I play in my live shows, every live shows is different, because you feel in a different way every single time. And this is the beautiful thing about playing live. Now, once the song it's been made, it's been performed out. So I tested the track on the dance floor. I play in the studio at the ASOT. I love the track as well. Now it was the time to bring this into my studio, because it sounds okay, but it has to be a proper studio production in order to be released. And now I'm gonna show you how simple this process is, because you might think, oh god, this is gonna be getting crazy or whatever. No, it doesn't, because the song is basically done. Now instead of having yourself building the track on that thing, you let the computer, you place all the little clips one after the other, and then you build up the song in the same way you would do live, but inside Cubase, which is my DAW. Okay, let me go back to the screen. Well, basically, this is my pad melodies. This you can see it here, right? So I don't need to write this again. I just go here and say Hold on. Export MIDI clip. You go export MIDI clip. You create a folder, whatever. Moscow, Riva, parts. Okay, and then you say pad. And next thing is you go to the plugin, preset, save as. And you save the preset in the same folder, Moscow River parts. Okay, and you say again pad. So in this way, you do these things for every single sound, and then you have the MIDI part and the original sound. So when I build the track into Cubase, I'm just loading the original sound of the plugin, and then it's gonna sound the same. So like you repeat this, you repeat the same thing for every channel, and it's just 8 channels. So for example, this one, I have the arpeggio, right? This is the arpeggio. Again, I do go here and say export MIDI clip, and then I go to Spire and say on the menu, save, where is it? Save preset. By the way, this preset is from my friend Shantias and Darren Potter. I think I've been using this for years now. I love it. Oh, it sounds great. Yeah, and that's it. You do the same thing to all the other channels, and then you go to to the kick drum, and you pick up the sample, bring it into the parts, the drums and the ride, and then basically the track is done. So let me close this. No, I don't want to save it. All right. So once the track is done, once the parts are ready, I've got the parts here. This is just an example. So I've got all the parts right here. What is it? Come on. It's maybe in a different. Oh yeah, okay. No, it's a different folder. Never mind. Anyway, once you have all the MIDI parts ready and you have all the sound, the plugin sounds ready, I open Cubase. Let me open this one. And if you see, for example, I was exporting the pads before, right? So I just drag and drop the MIDI click over here, and these are exactly the same notes that I've been using in my live setup. So you close this. This is gonna be loaded from Silence again. You go here and say preset load, and then you load the preset that you've been saving before, and you get the exactly same sound as the live version. So again, this is the pads. I can even play this for you, and you can hear it. It's the same thing. You see, that's exactly the same thing. So I've done the same for the lead. This one, Spire lead. Again, it comes from Spire, just like the live version. It's the same sound. These are the same MIDI notes, same thing, and it sounds the same. It's a big delay, and I've done the same thing for the bass and the kick drum. Same thing. Well, I love that the sample. I'm not sure if I've been using the same sample. I mean, we're gonna go track by track now, so I can show you. But I love the sample in my favorite sampler, which is Battery. And then you have a bunch of effects, like snare roll, crash, effects, different kind of things to make the transitions. And then let me close this one, and then again have the drums. Well, the drums, this is super simple. That's it. This is the original sample I've been using in my live setup. This is just a clap, and this is a ride, just like the same way as it was on the APC and on Ableton project. Same thing. And you know why? Because, as I said before, if you just tuned in now, I want to make this track sounding exactly the same as my performance at A State of Trance Studio 936 for ADE. Because, again, I've been reading the comments, you guys love that. So I just want to do the same thing, but better, sounding better, and then release it. Okay? So let me play you the track, which, by the way, it's done, because I have to do this through the weekends and the past days, so I couldn't really stream from the plane or from a hotel room in Argentina, because the internet was really crap. So yeah, let me play this. Of course, on Facebook or YouTube or whatever you are watching this, you won't hear a big difference in terms of sound quality, because the sound quality, or maybe on YouTube you can. Yeah, maybe on YouTube you can. Sound quality now it's a proper studio quality. But in terms of feeling and and the structures, is pretty much the same as the live version. And I think that's the beautiful thing about this track. So let me play this part. So if you listen to the full track, which I'm going to play at the end of this streaming, the full track is actually the same length and the same structure as the live version that I've been playing at the Ace of the Studio. So let's walk through this. First of all, and this is my friend Sean Tyas, is where he's going to be very jealous because because we have this conversation going on where he makes tracks with like a mix of songs with 100 of tracks, 150 tracks, and then he's trying to get less tracks, less because projects are huge. And the first thing, if you see this project, it's probably the most simple one I ever done. If you go down here, this is track number 35. So I made this song with only 35 channels, and this includes the drums, all the effects that just the effects take few channels, like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 12 channels of effects. And but the main thing for me is that when it comes to the main sounds, like if we have a very strong bass line, which is usually from hardware, if you have a very strong lead, which is again usually from a hardware, some strong, when I say strong, I mean in terms of sound quality. You have a big kick drum, you have a big bass line, a big lead, a pad, some properly made drums. You can easily do a track with, a full track with 15 channels, 20 channels. It really depends. I don't like when the project gets too busy. When you have, for example, to make a lead, a really, let me say this, a lead from the JP, it sounds big. A lead from silent, it sounds good, but not as big as that. So in order to make it bigger, you need 2 or 3 more instances of silent on top to make the sound a little bit bigger. So because I've been using in all these years with the hardware, I'm kind of used to have one keyboard for one sound, one keyboard for the other sound. So I'm trying to apply the same thing to the digital world. And again, as I said before, this track, it's made fully in digital. So it's all plugins, everything's in the box, all this stuff, it's off, okay? Everything is off. It's just digital. But again, I try to make each sounding bigger so that I don't need to layer like 5 different instances of Spire. Even though I'm using 2 in this one, because 3? Yeah, maybe 3. No, actually 2. The third one is just doing one little thing. But I'm gonna show you now. But again, like for the bass line, I have one main bass and a little side rolling bass line going on. But again, stop talking. Let me show you. Alright, first one, we don't need that. So just like the live setup, these are the drums, okay? This is the group, and it groups all the drums I have, and this is the full thing. So what I'm using here is just again, because this one comes from my Live 2.0 setup, it was a quick one. So this is just a sample loop from one of my sample packs. My favorite sample packs. And it sounds full already. So what I've done, actually the original one sounds like this. Okay, what I've done here, it was applying an LFO tool to cut out the clap, which I didn't like much. So let me show you. Do you hear the difference? And then I put another clap on top. This is the other clap I'm using. Okay, and when you play them together, now what else is left? Well, you know, for me, the ride, the cymbal, the ride is very important, and then that's the only thing you know was missing. And here we go. And yeah, again, I use battery for all my drums. And then again, I have an LFO tool because I like this way better than this. And these are basically all my drums. I mean, done. I have this little closed hat which only does kind of a metronome in the breakdown. Simple as that. Fun fact: I've done the same thing on my track with John O'Callaghan years ago called R Dimension. I just wanted to do the same here. It kind of reminds me of that track, which was great, by the way. Anyway, and then I have crash. Like I have a let me crash, reverse crash. These bells. This is an effect. Okay, let me play. I've been using this effect since 1997. So it's an old one, and it comes from this guy here, the car WF 001 WFT. It's a very old one, but I still use it because I love it. And then what else? Well, you know, all the normal effects. Snare roll, you know, uplifting things. One more. And these are all the effects I'm using. That's it. Back to the main thing, the kick drum. Here we go. I'm using battery again, another sample. But what I usually do on the channel, let me see. First of all, I cut off the very low end because it's unnecessary. Secondly, I make sure the kick drum is mono. Normally it stays like this. I bring it down to mono because I just want to make. I know it's a mono sample, but sometimes you know you're not completely sure. So I want to make sure the kick drum is mono. So that's why I apply the S1. Okay, and then what else? I have this Sonalkis filter. Which is the same I have in my live setup. And for the kick drum, that's it. Then we move to the bass. Okay, this is a group. The bass this is the group, and I have two different bass lines. The first one, it's the one from Silent. No, okay, actually it's not. This one comes from this one comes from Serum, and the reason why is the Silent bass line was okay, but not that great. So when you hear things here in the studio, you hear things in a different way. So in a better way. So this bass line here, this sound here was better. A better match with a kick drum. In fact, if you play them together, you know, much better than the bass I've been using in the live act, because you know, again, I only have say 10 different bass sounds to choose from, so it was just one of those. So this is the one sound that I had to change. And then I have made this one, which does this kind of a side bass line, rolling bass line, and this one comes from Anna from Sony Academy. It's one of those psy trance arpeggio, and if you put it together, now, you know, I have a lot of people say, hey, Giuseppe, I see you really like psytrance. I don't dislike it. I mean, I like, if you're just talking about psytrance, I like it. But after 15-20 minutes, it gets not my kind of sound anymore. You know, it's a little bit, you know, I'm not a huge fan, but back in the day, I used to listen a lot to Infected Mushrooms, if you remember the guys, you know, but I mean like 2004, 5, something like that. Anyway, what I like from psytrance is the bass, because it sounds awesome. It's just, you know, it just sounds awesome. So the good thing about a producer like me is that, you know, we listen different kind of music every single time, and it's good because you can pick some element from that, some other element from that. For example, the snare roll, it comes from EDM. I'm pretty sure it comes from an EDM pack. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the way you use it, you know, because the sound is it's awesome. So I love psytrance bass because it sounds incredible. That said, back to the bass. What we have on the channel, again, I have a filter. Let me bring it here. Again, I have this S1 to make sure the bass is right in the middle. Has to be mono. I have this compressor, which is a voice compressor, but it works beautifully also on the bass. No. Sorry, guys. This is nothing to do with that compressor. This is frequency enhancer for the bass frequencies. So it just brings in more bass, sub bass. Okay, without, it sounds like this. With, again, you can hear this from, if you're using headphones on YouTube, you cannot really hear the difference on your laptop speakers. So next, I have this compressor that does the side chain, and then what is it? Again, I'm cutting some low end here because the previous one was bringing up too many low ends, and then I have the LFO tool to apply even more side chain. On the mid bass, just a low filter. That's it. And that's it. Then okay, I have a little piano here, but the piano, it basically does the same melody. It's kind of enhancing the lead. Yep. I have to wait for the piano delay to disappear, otherwise you won't hear my voice because the microphone won't work. Okay, but now you can hear me. So if we move to the next track, this is the Spire plug lead. On this one, I have a ping pong delay. I have some reverb. This is one of my favorite. It's called the Father, and it makes how to explain. Basically it makes this plugin sounding more like that, if that makes sense, in terms of sound quality. And then I have applied some other reverb, and then this one, I love it. Okay, now next, because this plug was good, but I could do this better, I have to layer another plugin. This is a very old sound from Zebra, and it sounds like this. I mean, as you can see, I'm using old presets because I didn't have time to work too much. Otherwise, I would use my gear, my hardware thing. So anyway, back to this. It just gives a little mid-range kind of sound to the main lead. So when you play this one together with the other, let me play you. You know, it just makes it a little bit bigger. And then on this part right here, I have another Spire doing the a higher octave. And that's because of the second part of the main thing. You know, you need to add something more, but it only does 16 bars of that. So moving on, we got the what I call the JP, which is basically the another Spire playing this. And also here I have the one knob Father. This is one of my favorite compressor. It basically, I think it's a guitar compressor, but it works everywhere. Some more reverb, and again the side chain, which one it's been, you know, it's linked to the kick drum. So when there is no kick drum, it sounds like this. But then it works when you get the kick drum going on. So moving on, the next thing is the sort of acid mid-range bass. I think this one is from this is exactly the same sound from the live version, and it comes again from Spire. Yep. So again, on this channel I have a ping pong delay, one knob pressure. Oh, this is a beautiful compressor. It basically makes the tail of the sound coming up. So if you have a delay when you apply the pressure plugin, you have the sound, and then when the sound stops and the delay basically comes up, it comes out to breathe. Don't really know how to explain this because my English is still kind of whatever, but I'm also not a technician, so I don't really know how to explain things, which is also why I don't do master classes. Thank God. Yeah, and then again, sidechain, fine. Moving to the next, I have added a little bit of another stab kind of sound. And this one again comes from Anna. Yep. And it works beautifully together with the original mid-acid bass, sort of. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Okay, next I have this sound called flute. I don't even know why, but it's just an effect going like this. Alright, and then at the end I have my pad, the main one. As I said before, coming from silent, and that's exactly the same one as the one in my Live 2.0. Oh yeah, here on the breakdown I just added another pad, another instance of silent to make the sub pad given the body to the original pad, so when you are in the club you feel the bass present, and it makes everything bigger. But I'm using this. Let me show you. This is what I'm talking about. All of this part. Okay, it sounds well. If you solo it, it sounds like this. Right, and I mean, that's it. It's a very, very simple project. It's a very simple track. Again, it does the same thing that I've been doing before from my live thing. So just I just have to put in sequence all the different clips, do the filters, the envelopes and stuff. Doing the structure, and that's pretty much it. So the next step for me is running all the sounds through my mixer and then to my mastering chain, which I have explained several times already, so don't ask for that again. To make it sounding a little bit more warm, a little bit more kind of an analog, if it makes any sense. It doesn't really, but if you do A/B in the end, I mean, if you do the mix down from the Cubase project, or if you do the proper mastering chain through my analog thing, and then you A/B the final result, you can see, I mean, you can hear there's a huge difference. So something is happening here. And of course it sounds better. But basically that's pretty much all, because everything was done already in the live section. And so what I'm doing now is playing you this track from the start till the end. And again, it's called Moscow River. And it's gonna be out on Black Hole as soon as possible. I'll let you know very soon. Yeah, let me just play this. So if you've been watching this till the end, you're the lucky ones. yeah, that's it. That's it. So oh shit, did I break it? Okay. Oh, come on. Okay, I just broke my chair. Well, fine. Anyway, I think I need a new studio chair pretty soon. Yes, that's it. So this is the track. Again, it's a very simple one. It reflects exactly what I've been doing live, so it sounds the same. Actually, it sounds better, of course, because it's a studio production. But it sounds the same as the version you've been hearing, you've been listening to to my guest mix at the Estate of Trance Studio 936, if you want to check it out again. It's called Moscow River, because this demo comes from my Live 2.0, and it was born in Moscow during a sound check. And it's going to be released on Black Hole in December, but I'll let you know as soon as possible exactly when. So yeah, thank you for watching. And then, you know, yeah, I've been away from the live streamings for a while, but I'm back. And so till next time, you take care. Thank you very much. Ciao.